oldest of the three, their only daughter. Daddy lived his life to the fullest. You could always count on seeing a huge grin on his face. He loved to laugh. My mama, our mama, he called her my precious. To this day, she's still so beautiful inside and out. My daddy loved my mama. Daddy was the perfect husband for her. One of his greatest gifts to us kids was his example of love for our mother. He had many talents, too many to name. He loved the game of baseball, and in his baseball days, he pitched and played shortstop. I never heard of him being much of a bench warmer. That was pre-marriage, however. He became a great bench warmer, except this bench warming was near wherever Mama was shopping. And he was usually reading a Lewis L'Amour. Wherever she was, he was pretty close by. The same went for Mama. One of her favorite places to be was pretty close by Daddy. Where you saw one, you usually saw the other. Many times holding hands or sneaking a quick kiss. The two of them have spent countless hours on the road, running from here to there, visiting people. My parents have spent many an hour in hospitals and finding a way to be a blessing. They were always a blessing to someone else. They've kept the roads hot, chasing after us kids and their grandkids. Life changed for Mom and Daddy when Hayden, Hannah, Luke, and Haley came along. That is for sure. Pop loved his grandkids. In our community, Hayden's baseball buddies would ask, "Is Rockin' Fire coming to the game?" Because Daddy was, as many of you know, pretty vocal. And he'd cheer on the pitcher saying, "Rockin' Fire!" So Hayden's friends just went on and nicknamed him Rockin' Fire. I've received so many text messages and phone calls and Facebook messages this week. One of Chip and Russ's friends who sent me a message said he can still hear him saying, "That was on time, let's bring him on home." I could sit and listen to Daddy tell dear stories or play music for hours. He loved to play the guitar. He was blessed with many gifts. He wrote songs, poetry. He wrote songs about Mama. He wrote poetry about Mama and her sisters, Aunt Ned, Aunt Jackie, and their lovely, wonderful husband, our uncle, Perkins and Uncle. He wrote poems about me and Chip and Russ and all of us and how much we love each other, and he even wrote poems about each one of his grandkids. He had many, many wonderful gifts. He could sing. He loved to sing and grin. I tell you, I wanted other people to know my Daddy and benefit from his positive influence. And I could call Daddy and he'd drive to New Orleans in a blink, just like that. One time I'd been studying with a friend of mine and she decided that she wanted to be baptized like that day. Mom and Daddy loaded up, drove to Luling, and baptized my friend Lisa Gibbs. I want to be like my Daddy and make a difference. I cannot imagine how many souls he has led to Christ. He truly loved the Lord, and it shows. He lived his life in service to the Lord. And to be able to say he was truly the most faithful Christian I have ever known. What a blessing that he was our daddy. I am proud to say I'm his daughter. Sure, we all have our faults, but as Brenda McDonald shared with me a couple nights ago, to her, Irby Jr. was the nearest to perfect she had ever known. Miss Brenda wrote me also and said, and I quote, "Words are not available to me that properly describe Irby Perkins Jr. You know, the things that have always meant the most to me were things that were pure and simple. A pure, simple message brought millions of people to the feet of Jesus. I guess when I think of Irby, I think of a pure, simple man. Not simple in intellect, for he was extremely wise, but he was uncomplicated. What you see is what you get. And what you got was a heart full of love to anyone that came in contact with him. He was always concerned about everyone and their happiness as well as their heartache. His priorities were as they were meant to be. God first, family next, then friends, neighbors, nature, and all of God's creation. Yes, I guess pure is the word I chose to describe him. I choose to describe him. I was Irby's co-worker and secretary for well over 20 years. And if you knew Irby, he would share his family, community, and feelings with you, and it didn't take long to become attached to him. He and Martha and their family became family to me. I often refer to him as my big brother. In our Fort Polk office, with Irby in charge, we discussed religion, politics, movies, vacations, food like fried pork chops at the truck stop, and lots of things that made his employees want to do a good job. I once said that if Irby would have asked me, I would have tried to pick Fort Polk up and turn it over for him. He was a great boss and had the respect of everyone we knew. When he arrived at work, he'd come down the hall whistling. I can see that. It sure made for a good day, Miss Brenda said, to work with him. We all know that there was only one perfect person, but in my opinion, Irby Perkins Jr. comes pretty close. I want to say thank you, Lord. It has been my honor to have known such a great man. Miss Brenda, thank you for those words. I received this from a friend of mine. I won't share her name only because I didn't have a chance to ask her if it was okay, but this is what she had to say. I wish I could be there to say how much my entire family loved your daddy and to put my arms around you and hold you just for a second. Your dad was such a great man to so many people. Lori, when Dad was in a coma and my grandma and my mom had a head-on collision and they were all three in ICU, your dad was the one that showed up at my college to pick me up and take me home. He was the one that baptized me. He married me. He was at the hospital when my son was born. And I could go on. And I know my brothers and my mom and dad would too if they were there. Our little Savage Fork area will never be the same. In recent months, my daddy has suffered like many of us will never know. It hurt my heart to see his hurt. But I want to share with you that he was a man of God. And he went to the Lord in good times and bad. Sometimes he would curl up his knees to his chest, laying in bed, and recite the 23rd Psalm until his sad heartbroken feelings past. I find comfort in knowing that my daddy knew where to turn. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Daddy was so optimistic always. If he was going deer hunting, he just knew he was going to get a deer. And he always knew we were going to win the ball game.